In this current climate, you can't really make money out of your art. You can't really, I can't afford to live off of my art. That would be ridiculous. But that's ridiculous that it's ridiculous. In other countries, you have a copyright whereby artists, writers, musicians, creators generally are given legal ownership. It's basically giving you legal rights to your work. And people, they're whisperings, people say there's a law buried in some book here, but as is plain to see, it's not enforced. So in that system, it's really hard to make money off of your creative output because it's not really recognized by the powers that be.
But I mean, you don't really have to know the nitty-gritty details of the copyright law. All you have to do basically is just go on Regent Street, go in the Starbucks market, go in Border Market, and you see people, you know, not even the pushcart guys. You have established businesses, and the businesses are founded on piracy.
A whole industry has been built around copyright violation. Some of the most famous businesses in town have made millions of dollars on pirating other people's stuff. You could go up on top floors and find warehouse-like conditions, right? One of the guys calls himself the Jack Sparrow of the Caribbean, you know, pirate of the Caribbean, because he's got so much pirated material.
The copyright law legislation, the problem with it is that it's old. It hasn't been updated since 1956. The problem with that is that the intellectual assets that you would have in 2013 are not even described, are not even identified within the Act. Anyone who gets their intellectual property stolen, hijacked, copied, there is actually no legislation that they could resort to if they need to engage in criminal prosecution and anything of that nature. From the Chamber's perspective, it is critical that the intellectual property legislation in Guyana be updated in accordance with international rules. It needs to be brought up to scratch. One, to protect people as they engage in intellectual related activities, and also one to help with things because it leads to better investment. There are certain businesses that will not come to Guyana unless they are comfortable that there is a framework to protect the intellectual asset while they're doing business here.
There is some amount of space to operate with the current situation that we have, but we're never going to thrive. You know, we'll be lucky to just barely scrape by, not even a living, just barely, you know, survive. I mean, people will always, artists will produce because, you know, birds gotta fly, fish gotta swim. If an artist is not creative, you know, it slowly kills you inside. So we'll have that. We just won't have the same quality, we won't have the same quantity that you see, you know, in other countries that at least have some kind of respect for copyright. You know, I mean, like I said again, I mean, there are a lot of people who want to produce and they want to put Guyana on the map, and that's the other thing too. A lot of these artists is not just for themselves. It's always, you know, I want to put Guyana on the map, but they can't put Guyana on the map because, you know, Guyana is basically pulling the rug out from underneath them.
Today, you don't have to pay $3,000 for a CD. In fact, you pay $200 for a CD. And if you buy more than one, if you buy 10 CDs, 10 pirated CDs, you could probably get it at even less. It's not cognizant of the production costs, the shipping costs, the marketing, promotion, etc. It doesn't take those things into account. So you have a false sense of the value of a product related to the price you've paid for it. When a local musician comes and they have to bear the production costs to get a demo or to get their picture printed to canvas, when they come along, they're in direct competition with foreign artists. Let's say it's a Beyonce or a Justin Bieber, but Justin Bieber's CD is going for $100. Why, in goodness name, are you charging $1,000 for a CD if Justin Bieber's is 100 Guyanese dollars?
You know, we all know about the saying, where there's a will, there's a way. But for a lot of people, they have the will, but there's no way. In the Guyanese context, Guyana is different from just about any other place in the world. In the Guyanese context is where there's a way, there's a will. Right? If you give people a way, right, to make a living off of their creative efforts, they will find the will and they will refortify themselves to push and to get these things done that because we have a lot of potential musicians and filmmakers and authors and all that, but there's no way. And I've had these discussions like for the last 10 years about how do you go about doing this? I have this burning passion, but how do I go about doing it so that it makes sense?
But that just shows you the climate that we exist in. There is no economic incentive in the arts in this current system. Every creative has to consider how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to eat. At the end of the day, you can't turn up to the gas station and say, "Hey, I just made this nice work of art. Can I trade you for some gas?" The world just doesn't work like that.
I think a lot of our arguments get hung up on, what is the decent thing to do. It's about, supporting the arts and supporting culture. A lot of people don't care about supporting arts and supporting culture. They care about supporting their families and paying their rent.